Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Hello!
Hey!
We're back, mate. We are back.
Fabulous
Season
stuff.
14. Wow.
14, mate.
14.
14. I don't know what that means, whether it's a coming of age, I don't know. 14.
I mean, it's not like our teenage, because we had that last time. Last time was the bad luck or the superstitious.
Yeah.
So this is the boring second teenage season.
Yeah.
What an intro. What a way of making what people want to join in and listen and watch, and by going it's going to be boring. It's not going to be boring. I'm telling you that now.
It's certainly not going to be boring, mate.
We don't do boring. We've never done boring.
You, there's me, and there's oodles of great guests lined up.
Lots of guests coming in. We're actually, here's a sneaky peek. We've got one coming in a minute. Not for people listening and watching, you haven't got a guest coming in a minute, but we're recording
now.
in a minute, aren't we?
We are.
We're doing this fancy sort of like do things in advance stuff and make it all work, or we're going to try to.
We're going to try to. It's a risk saying that, Sam. It's a risk saying that. But we have done it in the past. It's been seamless, so we can do it again.
Yeah. Real famous last words going on now. We're throwing caution to the wind, as they say. But anyway, mate, it feels like it's been forever. It hasn't, because I spoke to you the other day. But that's not the point.
No.
As far as the podcast world is concerned, or certainly those watching and listening to Drewling Samantics, we have been apart for over a month now. I can't remember when the last... When did we...
Us? I don't know when we got gifted the world. Us. It's got to be about 6 weeks ago, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But in that time, we've been pretty bloody busy. It's
pretty
safe
busy
to say. We've had a lot on. And actually, I haven't really managed to talk to you about what you've been busy doing, because you've been busy doing it. So now is the perfect opportunity for myself and everyone listening and watching to sort of find out all about it. And it's a really good subject because it ties into previous guests, previous subjects we've talked about and topics, and all sorts of things together. So why don't you tell everyone... And most of them probably already know because we mentioned it before, but why don't you tell everyone where you've been, what you've been doing, and then we can sort of dive into the sort of logistics and the real nitty-gritty of what that means.
Well, I have been down in Lyme Regis. I was there last year with Gilroy Theatre with Sue Gilroy, who we had on last year. A few seasons ago, talking about setting up last year's season. And last year I did one play. Mm-hmm. This year, I've been down doing 3 out of the 5 plays that Sue was producing.
Yeah,
and
so every time she does it, you sort of cop off for the last couple.
I know, mate. I want it. But it's all about, my availability. I would have loved to have done the last 2, and I think I could have done. But obviously we've got our summer panto coming up. Yeah. More of that later. So I did the first 3 plays. Joining me down there were other Drewling Samantics guests. We had Neil James, who is doing all 5 plays.
Yeah, they're still on at the moment, aren't they? They've got...
So where we are now, I left last week, which would have been there... I left on a Thursday. So we finished... My last performance was on Wednesday night. They opened the next production Thursday.
Yeah.
And then the following Friday, they started blocking the next one. Exactly. So it's finish 1, open 1, start rehearsing 1.
Yes.
So you were always got 3 plays in your head wherever you are in the season, if you're doing, more than 2 plays. So yeah.
Sorry, I dived in. So obviously Neil was there. Neil, big fan of the podcast. As far as we're aware, the only guest we've had that's listened to every single episode, and he's up to date now, isn't he?
He's getting up to date. He said he's a little bit behind because he's been learning 5 plays. But give you the benefit of the doubt there. Sue Gilroy, who we've had on, who's a producer. Neil, as I say, he was in all 5, and Tom Neal, who
just to confuse everyone,
few seasons ago, actor, musician, writer, composer, Tom was down there as pretty much doing everything, because not only was he stage managing and running the technical side, so he was doing a lot of sound design, a lot of lighting, running some of the shows. He's in the last show, which is Noel Coward's Fallen Angels. He wrote music for A Brief History of Women, which was an Alan Ayckbourn, and in that there was a song that yours truly had to sing. And try as we might, we couldn't find the original music that was used in the Ayckbourn production, which was only 2017.
Right.
There was no music for it. Got the lyrics. So Tom wrote some music for it. Wow. And we use it in the show. So, and he wrote some incidental music and other stuff. So Tom Neal has been technical stage manager, lighting designer, sound designer, composer, and he's acting in the last play as well. So he's ticking. Wow. Yeah, apart from doing wardrobe and making the tea, he's done everything. In fact, he did make tea on occasions. We all did, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so a bit of a Drewling Samantics reunion almost.
Yes, it was. Yeah, there was one night. It was actually, the bar was full of just Drewling Samantics, performers and guests. It was very funny. Yeah.
Amazing. Right. Well, I'm gutted I didn't manage to come down, but I've been pretty busy with lots of things going on as well. But before we go into what I've been doing and touch on, obviously, the important thing, what we've got coming up and what the plan is for season 14, let's dive a bit more into what you're talking about. So just to sort of go back on ourselves a little bit, you've been doing what's known as repertory theatre.
Weekly rep, yeah.
For short, which is where you have a season of plays, musicals, whatever, but they run concurrently, so one after the other. There are overlaps as far as the performers are concerned. There aren't often overlaps from the audience perspective, because they tend not to. You can have it, can't you, where one is still open while the next one opens, but it's probably more rare that there's that overlap.
It's rare, because then you have to have pretty much two companies. Yeah. And also because of budgets, etc. Companies that do this sort of work are keeping their company members to not a minimum but a manageable number. And then you've got the idea that you would like to through cast as many people as possible. So there are two people in Sue's company, Neil James and a wonderful actor called Victoria Porter. They're playing not necessarily leads, but they are in each play. I do 3, miss the next 2. Some people are coming in and doing 1 or 2 plays. So there is what that does is it keeps the cast fresh from the point of view of who the audience see. And it also doesn't put too great a workload on everyone. It makes it slightly easier. Yeah. So what'll happen is although Victoria and Neil are in all 5, in the last play, Victoria had a smaller role while she prepared for a bigger one.
Yeah, exactly.
Neil has had 2 big roles, so he had 2 slightly smaller roles and then the bigger role at the end. So their workload is eased a little bit, but they still are.
Oh God, yeah.
You still are working hard.
5 scripts, because once you've learnt one, it doesn't just vanish the second you finish doing that play.
So
it's still bits in there.
And
it's that skill to be able to go, right, I'm doing this play today, I'll switch off all the others and all the other stuff that's in my head. I know exactly what's coming next. I mean, I guess when I worked with the brilliant Andy Linfield and his company, Dot Theatre, we were sort of like rep in the sense that we opened our first play. While that was open, we rehearsed and started the next one, and they then ran both at the same time. But one was very much always done in the daytime. The other one was almost always done in the evening. One was a children's play. One was more adult. So there was a bit of separation there. But where these are all very much sort of adult, whether it's comedy, tragedy, whatever, the crossover would have been mental to keep them going. So that's why you sort of go, right, this one rehearses 3 days. This one opens 3 days. While those 3 days it's open, the next one's rehearsing, and they sort of shuffle along, don't they?
Yeah.
Rather than one sort of going the whole way through.
And it's a midweek changeover as well, because it's a seaside town. The idea being that there are 2 plays that week that audiences could come and see.
Yeah.
So you could come and see a show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then there's a different show Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
So the idea is that you can capture the same group of people, hopefully twice. And that was interesting because I spoke to people. We had a chat with people after the show in the bar. Occasionally meet someone on the street. We'll go, "Oh, we saw the show last night." And you go, "Are you coming to the next one?" They go, "Well, yeah, we booked for the 2. We're down here for on holiday for a week or 10 days. We're seeing." So that idea of 2 plays for, and then there'd be, and it's interesting because Saturdays was a busy audience, but it would drop a little bit because you get mostly locals because a lot of people are either arriving or going home.
Yeah.
From their holiday. So there was that changeover period. Friday nights, very busy. Saturdays, a little bit quieter because of that changeover. And that was, that's purely, holidaymaker logistics.
Did you do matinees at the weekends? No, so
no,
it's always just evening performances.
It's always just the evening performance. I know when I worked at Nottingham Theatre Royal for the Colin McIntyre season there, we used to do a weekly matinee and a Saturday matinee. So you would rehearse in the morning, and that was the schedule. There was you were able to do runs. So you'd do a run on a Thursday morning or a 1 act, and then do the show in the afternoon and do the show in the evening, and then on a Saturday you would be, because they open on a Monday, you'd do a run of the show on Saturday morning, and then Sunday was a day off. So if you needed to look over lines or whatever, very often the company would get together for line runs. Then Monday, we would open the new show. So we do a run in the morning while the tech's going on, tech and dress in the afternoon, open the show in the evening. That was because that was a static, or you're not trying to get 2 shows a weekend. But in Lyme Regis, I mean, our rehearsal schedule was that you would open a show on the Wednesday night, or in a couple of occasions Thursdays. You would then be back in rehearsing on Friday morning for the next show. So you'd finish one on a Wednesday, open one on a Thursday, start rehearsing for the next one on Friday.
Yeah.
So your brain is mashed.
So, I mean, inevitably there are going to be moments where you go, "Oh shit, where am I? What am I doing? Which character? Which accent? Which lines are coming up?" But I think the skill of it is, and not that it's an element of forgiveness, but the majority of the audience understand that. Like, they know all the sort of promo material and everything advertising the show says this is what rep season is all about. Like, we are doing these multiple things. Like, so people take that into context, but even then it wouldn't be noticeable things. And I'm sure there were occasions that you can think of that you thought, "Oh God, that went slightly awry," but no one would know. So,
it's interesting because that's a possibility, and we're right on a knife edge. That if we do a technical, we try to do a tech in the morning, which is literally lights and sound and scenery, costume changes, and what we would do is do a cue to cue. So every time there's something happening technically, you cut the rest of the scene and just work to those moments. So someone says, "I got a quick change here. Right, let's do the little bit around that, the light change, the sound." Okay, is that okay, everyone? Yeah, right. Cut until the next cue. Literally going from cue to cue. And then we would do a full dress rehearsal in the afternoon. If something went wrong, fine. You've got to keep your fingers crossed it ain't going to happen that night. That's when, that's the rehearsal. You go, right, let's hope, keep our fingers, well, not keep our fingers, let's make this a clean dress. No, and if you do if you do forget a line, if something goes wrong, you got to keep going, because there ain't no help in the evening. There's there's no one there. You've got to solely do your own thing. If something goes wrong, something's always going to go wrong. But if you forget a line, there ain't going to come a prompt. That's just not going to happen.
No.
It doesn't happen ordinarily.
No, exactly. And it's no different to normal, other than the fact that you've got 2 or 3 other scripts rolling around in your head and going on at the same time.
It's more likely because of a shorter rehearsal period, and as you say, you're lugging around, a show you're trying to forget, one you're trying to learn, and one you're trying to perform.
But I guess you could throw in there that actually there are benefits to that in the sense that a short but very sort of heavy rehearsal period, like pantomime as an example. I mean, panto never really more than 10 days rehearsal.
Yeah, that's generous, isn't it? Yeah, in most cases.
And you're talking about a show there that will run for 30 to 50 performances, has lots of singing and dancing and like effects and stuff going on. So it's quite heavy duty. So to take all that in, that's a lot to take in. But equally, I think it keeps it quite fresh. So if you think back to days of doing perhaps amateur theatre when you were young, or like stuff that was spread out, think about doing a rehearsal like once a week. By the time the next week came round, you'd have to have looked back over notes or whatever to refamiliarise yourself, because unless your memory's bloody incredible, lots has happened in that week to sort of make it not. So I guess there are benefits in that sense as well.
I think you're right. Also, the thing of learning stuff quickly, we were chatting amongst ourselves, and it's very useful because, as you know, if you're filming, on the day, someone's going to go, no, we're going to need to change that line, work that line, because of situations that are beyond everyone's control. I mean, I was filming once and staying in a hotel, and I had a piece of paper slipped under the door. You know, thank God I was awake, but someone slipped a piece of paper, and it was notes for the next day and new lines.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I'm going, well, good, it's not too late. It's only 12:30. I'll learn those.
Yeah.
But it's great because it helps you make decisions quickly. It helps you. It's great for audition prep, and you know, you get a self tape arrives. You know, oh, can you film this by tomorrow? You've got to take the scripts, make your decisions, decide what you're going to do with it, learn the lines, and you know, I mean, 90% of the time now they want you to have learnt the lines.
Yeah.
Depending on how much there is. But you know, it does help with all that prep. And there aren't... I was talking to a couple of the younger actors in the company, and they were saying, this is the best training you get, you know, because this is the real world. You know, being at drama school and getting 3, 4, 5, whatever many weeks rehearsal you get, luxury. You can't, you know, it's like, no, you got 4 days here and a dress rehearsal. Get on with it.
Yeah.
It's great training. It really is. I mean, my first job was in WEP, as I've said dozens of times. There was a couple of people that it was their first, second jobs, and they were loving it.
Yeah.
It was, you know, they were saying, this is, you know.
So I've got one more question, because obviously we've got some other stuff to talk about as well.
Yeah.
But I've got one other question that I want to ask, and people will have heard of the phrase "the post-show blues."
Yes.
The things being over, and particularly when you've when you've immersed yourself in a cast and you've made new friends, and you are spending your life with these people, and they become your family temporarily because they are basically the only people you see ongoing.
Yes, they really are.
Yeah. So when that suddenly ends, and particularly if it's been a very heavy duty show, for example, it can be really, really disappointing, upsetting, because all of a sudden life is completely different, and that's feels like it's been torn away from you. How is that with rep? So I've not done rep to the extent that you're doing, or you've just done it and have done it previously, because surely you can't necessarily get attached to a show in the same way because it's been and gone so quickly. So does that create a whole different atmosphere to things?
It's very interesting because you really get into doing a play, particularly the first show of the season, because you that's the only one that you've rehearsed. It's the only one you've had any contact with. So you do that show, and then you start to rehearse the next one. As soon as that opens, you start the next show. But for that first week, that's just been all you've been doing. You know, you've rehearsed it, you get it on, and that one. But then you go, oh, we got the next one, and then you're into the rep thing. Then it kicks in, like, okay, we're doing this one now. We're blocking. We're rehearsing the next one. We start the next day doing the moves and everything. And I've got to go and start thinking about the third one, you know. So you don't get it's the energy of each one. You go, really love that, great stuff. The next morning you go and you've opened that show, it all went well last night, you're into the next one, the energy is like, yes, let's do the next one. And you manage to, I don't know why it happens, maybe it's because I've done a bit, but the mental changeover is very, and then all the plays that Sue programmed are very different to each other. You know, we started with a thriller. The next one was an Alan Ayckbourn comedy. Next one was a thriller. Then the next one was a light persuasion, like Jane Austen comedy of manners. And the last one, you know, so that your energy and your head can jump. But it was interesting knowing that the third play that I did was Strictly Murder, which, as people, people who listen know, my favourite play, and I was playing the role that I love, and I knew it was coming to an end, but because they've all ended, it was easy to go, right, finishes on Wednesday night, time to go home, I've got something else coming up. It's interesting now because, and that didn't never happen before, we're in the company WhatsApp group. Other messaging services are available, but we've got a company WhatsApp group. So I'm still getting the messages, which is lovely. So this morning I'm pottering around. I had to take my car at the garage, and I'm coming back, coming back on the bus from the garage, and I'm getting messages through coming. Has anybody picked up any milk? Does anybody have a coat they could lend me for this? I'm getting all the messages. I'm sitting there going, ah.
I was going to say, does it tug at the heartstrings a little bit because you're sort of like, I'm not part of that anymore. And it's a rarity because not always will you have people only coming in for a portion of them. As you said before, Rep Theatre try and keep a company to perform through all, but then you've got to find shows that have the same amount of characters, the same age groups and genders and what have you for each of those characters. So that becomes a whole new logistical thing. Therein
lies the producer's nightmare.
That's where someone like Sue is a genius, because being able to work all that out.
Totally.
But so it's slightly easier to take the fact that you've got into this realm of that show's gone, need to forget it. Not like, oh, fuck that, but to the extent that I've got something to focus on now. And I guess maybe answering my own question here, but where I've had post-show blues is because I've not gone into something else afterwards. You've got time to dwell, time to think. Perhaps that where it comes in. But yeah, so a slightly different scenario with Rep, because you're forced to kind of go, no, done, because otherwise too much going on. But so there we go. So that's what you've spent your summer.
That's what I've been doing the past month or so.
Of your summer. And as you mentioned, you've got the summer panto coming up, which equally is mentally demanding, and because you're in it, you've written it, are you directing this time?
I'm directing. Verona and I share the directing on that. She's written songs. I wrote the script whilst I was in Lyme Regis.
Well, that's bloody ridiculous. How can you write a script while you're learning one, performing one, and prepping for another? No, bollocks. That's not human.
That was my days off. I used to make sure I knew the script, because I thought on Sundays, right, I've got to write a script on Sunday. So, so I would sit down and write panto, which in a way was a nice way to switch off and let the brain, You
didn't find that for some reason some of the panto characters went into Jane Austen or Ayckbourn at times then?
Ayckbourn, yes. Now, interestingly, Brief History of Women is 4 plays, 4 little playlets, and there's a central character played by Neil James, Tony, and he goes right the way through the play. It follows a house, a grand manor house, in the, I think it's 20s and 30s, then the 40s and 50s, then the 60s and 70s, then the 80s.
Oh, excellent.
And he is associated with the house right the way through. It starts off as a grand manor house, and he's a local called in to be a footman. Then it becomes a school, and he plays a teacher.
Yeah.
And so in the first one I played a grumpy, miserable sort of lord of the manor. Second one I played this Welsh teacher. Third one I played an amateur director who is playing the dame in pantomime. So I drew on a little bit of experience there. So,
well, not just for that role, because the first one you were old and grumpy, so that was fine.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly. Yeah. And the last one I had one line in the last one. And they said to me, go on, see if can you get a laugh out of one line? And I went, I'll try. And I did. And they all went, you did it. You got a laugh on the one.
Go on, what was the line then?
It was, thank you very much, sir. Very kind of you. Most generous. If there's anything else you want. And I used to sort of go, if there's anything else you want, you know, they get off.
Yeah.
Get out. Push me out. But
nice. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, so absolutely ridiculous that you've managed to write stuff and cheat and nick a few bits you were saying from from Eightborn, and yeah. But yes, so a mad summer. Mine's been slightly different in that it certainly hasn't been all one thing and heavy duty, but I've had, and what we'll do is we'll go into this a bit more in future in another episode, because I think it's an important and interesting subject. I've had lots and lots somehow of last minute work.
Wow.
Like, I don't know. There's lots of reasoning behind it. Quite often something like a casting, someone has dropped out, or something else has happened, or they've needed to change things up, or a location has changed, so they've needed someone different. But yeah, I've had quite a lot of things like, are you available tomorrow night? Are you available in 2 days' time to do it? It's been brilliant, don't get me wrong, because it's just worked nicely into the gaps that I've had sat there already, which has been really beneficial. But yeah, an unusual kind of setup in that it's been a lot of sporadic work that I haven't really planned for, but it's been really nice. So, but let's have a proper discussion about that another time, because I think number one, I think there's a certain skill to be able to pick up work very short notice. I know you've got some great experience of driving home from one job and having to turn around because you've been on another one.
Yeah.
But I think we can have a proper discussion about that another time. But more importantly, what we need to talk about in the last few minutes is the fact that this is season 14. It's brand new. We are back. We've got, as you mentioned earlier, some incredible guests queued up, some of whom we've been trying to get for so long. They've gone on to do different things, potentially. Like they've brought different elements in. But yeah, we've got some really exciting people coming up. But I'm going to ask you, what are you going to do different this season, Drew? How are we going to keep it fresh? What are we going to keep our listeners and watchers interested by, but equally perhaps bring in new people? What do you reckon we could sort of do?
Well, I know one thing we've got to do more of is that I think you and I need to get together a little bit more. To share a beer. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I mean, they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, there is that. Yeah. I mean, we are lucky enough that we are 14 seasons in, and our viewership and listenership just keeps growing, which is unbelievable. Yeah. The really nice thing is that over these few weeks we've been off, we still obviously get updates on numbers and things, and it hasn't necessarily decreased. It's gone down a bit on sort of like release days because there is nothing being released on a release day, and that normally brings a surge. But actually, during the week and stuff, the numbers have still looked really good. So thank you everyone listening and watching, whether you're new, old, veteran, dabble in and out, just pop in every now and then, whatever. It really means the world to us. And as said, we're going to keep this going. Don't fix what ain't broke, but we're going to try and bring fresh new stuff. We're going to get together a bit more. We have actually got some opportunities to work together coming up, hopefully.
Mikey.
And we've got some other events that we're doing or certain things where what we might try and do is bring two different sides to the story. So we're doing similar things, but in different places and in different ways. So maybe we can put a bit of contrast in there. And I guess, mate, also keeping up to just what's going on in the industry, because there's always lots developing and changing. And, you know, we like to bring everyone sort of hot news where we can and hot topics. So yeah,
we'll get back on the news, as you say, get back on the news trail, because there's a few things happening that we could talk about, and also share those with our guests as well, get their opinions on what's going on. So yeah, that might be that. Yeah. We'll get a little bit of vox pop from our guests. That'll be good.
Ooh, that's lovely.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I've been reading.
Yeah. You're dropping cool kid speak, are you? You've been working things out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, I think we will just keep doing what we've always done, bringing you all a an idea of what we actually get up to, what we actually do, what the industry is made of, what people are doing all the time, not just those end product huge films you see or the big stage shows. There's so much more going on. I've been lucky enough to have a lot of different jobs coming quite recently, a real variety of stuff. So I'm looking forward to talking about a lot of that. And I've got new companies I'm working with and things that are booked up. And you're getting busier and busier from a production side of you, aren't you? Because
yes, that's all good fun.
So we're just going to keep doing what we've always done. Hopefully people like that. I mean, I guess they must do, because they're still coming back and they're still here now. But more than anything, we want to keep suggesting that you send stuff in, because what we love doing is filling those gaps that you feel are missing, or maybe not so much that, but meeting those little things that perhaps we haven't done before by addressing those or getting onto those topics and talking about things that people want to know more about and are telling us we want to know more about this. It's great because we've got that connection then, and it's not just two weirdos having a chat and people listening into what's going on. There is that connection, and it blurs those lines of separation, which we want to do. So I think more of that. Keep the messages coming, suggestions, comments, whatever. Make sure you're following us on social media, because we'll obviously put updates on there, and then you can get involved there as well. And guests as well. We've got some amazing guests queued up, but we've always got space for more, to welcome more people in. So if there are people you'd like to hear from, or certain jobs within the industry you'd like to know more about, we can then go and get someone in that does that. And they
or if someone listening to us and watching us has a job that we haven't covered and said, hey, I do this, would you like to hear about it? And just talk about it, we would love to hear from you.
Definitely.
Because that keeps it fresh then as well.
Yeah. And we are getting more and more of that, actually. We're getting people reaching out and saying, I do this, I'd love to be on the show, would you like to have a chat? And that doesn't just mean for jobs that we've not talked about before. People coming in that do the same thing as others, but maybe in a slightly different way, or from abroad, or have a completely different kind of background in something else. We just love the fact that it seems to keep fresh and new, and we love what we do, but we can't do it without you lot out there. So we love the fact that you are there to allow us to do this. So let's keep that relationship going. Let's keep working, doing our own little things, and hopefully we'll just keep bringing more and more of us nattering away to the airwaves and to your viewing pleasures, I guess. But yeah. So on that note, mate.
On that,
we need to get back on and start with the next few bits and get some stuff going. So
we do.
I shall raise my my bottle of whatever this is. Protein.
My lovely coffee.
And your coffee. Merch still available. If you want shirts or mugs or anything else, just like that, if you're watching, let us know. But until then, we'll see you next time with a bloody brilliant guest. Drew, it's a pleasure, mate. See you later.
Sam, see you later, everyone.
Bye. Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.